Welcome back to Infinifactory, and I wanted to introduce a bit of a comment from last episode. A commenter called Saul YSW or Saul USW, saying basically this solution that we got here. I'm just going to copy it across into this bottom one. Yeah, here we go. This solution. Remember, the first one that we actually did is much more complicated than we actually need. So what I thought we'd do is just refactor this and make it work because of a couple of quirks that are not obvious. Okay, one of the things that are not obvious is, well, they weren't obvious to me initially anyway, is that if something's moving past the drill, stuff that hits the top will fall down. We know that much is the case. That's why we need these pusher blocks. But if it's moving away from the drill, i.e. over the top of the drill, it's not actually going to drop down into the drill, which is very useful. The other thing is, apparently, you don't need to basically filter out other stuff. And I have verified this, and it is the case. If you put other stuff other than this, as long as it's not the same size as this, like, for example, 2 wide instead of 1 wide like this, it won't even count it as a wrong product. It will just go straight past because it doesn't fit within this volume that it actually needs. So it can never really assess it until it does. So why don't we just refactor this and hopefully get a much simpler solution out of it, okay? So let's get rid of all of this. We don't need any of it. Okay, and let's get rid of all you as well, and let's just put this together. So you get the idea. If we do that, yep, this entire thing will head along here, and you'll see when it hits here. Well, it can't even go anywhere because then that block's in the way, but we'll see in a minute that will actually help. And now we can put drills in place, and in fact we can just get rid of any blocks that we don't want. So if, for example, we want blocks like this, we can have them exactly like that. So I can basically put a couple of blocks there, and you'll see it gets rid of these before they even leave. And we're going to do exactly the same thing in the middle. So all of you are going to go away. Yep. And then on this side, we want the bottom one and the top one. You can all go away as well. All right. And that's pretty much it. Okay. I know that sounds weird, but watch. Okay. Assuming I've got this right. This is 2, won't be assessed. 1, 1, 2, won't be assessed, etc. And there it goes. Now, unfortunately, that will then fail because we need to get rid of this stuff once it goes past the assessment point. So to do that, I'm just going to basically put down a couple of belts here. So this two block will come along and hit this, which one it'll get pulled sideways. And as soon as it does get pulled sideways, I think we can just basically put in a couple of drills right there. Let's give it a go and see if that actually works. Will this work? Well, let's give it a go. And go forwards. There it goes. All right, that's getting disposed of. That's not working, is it? What's basically happening is this stuff at the bottom is basically problematic here because everything's going to get piled up, and that's to do with the input rate. So let's lower the input rate a little bit, and let's see if everything stays. You'll see they do get blocked up. And let's fast forward. Yep, stuff is... well, yeah, not great. Has to be said. Our previous best, well, our best now is 37, but now we're 56. That's no good. Now it's 37. Now it's 29. Our block score is smaller. But let's play again. Can we actually get rid of the remaining things here without causing stuff to fall into them? That's going to be a decent one. Can we actually do that? Maybe by reworking this. So how about we just send that way? What happens now? Okay. Yeah, you'll see it is going to send everything this way. And we need some way of basically recombining them all back together. Okay, so let's get rid of the middle column entirely. You do need to leave it at least one space to be able to move forwards. If you put that inside this one, the whole thing will not move forwards. Okay, so you want to have them moving forwards. And now you'll see we have the problem. We have the problem in that, well, yep, it is assessing it because it is basically one deep. So that has to be taken care of as well if we do it this way around. Otherwise, we are going to need a push block of some kind. And the best I can think of here is this particular sort of setup. It does still need one pusher block because I need to get this separated out and I can't find a way of doing it. So if anyone wants to suggest a better way, feel free. Doesn't need the disposal part at the end because everything is disposed of now, but it is done a lot nicer. So if we just basically run it and then stop. Okay, so the one on this side is reclaimed. Everything here is basically destroyed, and then one pusher block just to push this sideways. If that doesn't happen, then this thing either has to be completely disposed of, which ruins the score because half of the good products are being ruined, or that's just going to end up being disposed at the end without being able to separate it. So I can have it basically like this, because you can just place a drill going the other way, basically going out here and facing to cut off the front piece instead of putting this block here. So it'll end up with two tall like that, and that will go all the way to the end and get disposed of. But this way, we end up with all of them. So let's see how good this actually is compared to everything else. So resume. Okay, so all indigo. Okay, so best is 25. 25 was when I was actually disposing of half of them, because I could basically ignore it and just end up with just drills with no pusher blocks or anything like that. So that's the lowest one I could actually get to, 25. Footprint score, again, because I didn't need the drills before. Sorry, I didn't need the drills. I didn't need the pusher blocks before. I could get it to 30. But even so, even here, my best score is 37 and now is 41. So yeah, there's very little things I can think of actually doing here without actually removing drills. So yeah, if I remove you, yeah, you see this drops down. So not much I can do there, etc, etc. So if you want to think of any better ways of doing it, feel free, but I'm going to move on. I just thought I'd mention it, that there are alternate ways of doing this, including destroying the blocks at the back, and it works perfectly well. So this is the puzzle we got at the end of last episode. I've put some blocks down so you can get the idea of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be basically generating this thing. It's the same thing we basically broke apart in that refresher episode I just did, well, the refresher section I just did. It has 3 sections on the bottom, just the regular sort of base unit. It has 2 keyboards and it has 6 monitors. So we have these in these 3 sort of input trays to our puzzle. So what if I just not fast forward, but if I just bring these out here for a second, you'll see they're coming out. This left-hand one, we're going to be grouping them in 3s. So usual sort of approach to that is this kind of route at the bottom. It's going to basically weld the first 2 together, and then the third one will be welded together as it gets pulled out of the way. I'm just going to need to just reset that for a second, because I just want to stop this from actually going any further while we do that. So let's just see that happen. 1, 2, 3, there it goes. Let's just fast forward, there we go. 1, 2, 3, and across it goes. So that's going to get into this place here, at least for now, until we figure all the stuff out. And then there's 2 keyboards coming in. Those keyboards will be welded together once, technically if I just release this a second and put that here, it should weld both of them together in the same way that welds 3 things together. This thing welds 2. So there's 1, and there's the second one. Okay, and off it goes. This one's going to come in, and the whole stuff is going to get welded together. So that's the bottom section. However, the top section needs to basically be dropped in on top before the whole thing can be moved. Now, the whole thing being moved needs to be triggered by basically the second block of these. So ideally, if there's something 2 blocks up from this, right there, then we know that that's something that can be moved. So maybe we put, maybe we just put a cable down and then sort of a sensor like that, and that should detect when the second block comes in, I think. Okay, at which point we'll then need to basically feed this around the back, and something along this sort of lines. We'll see how well this actually works in practice, but for now, it's very hard for me to actually put the blocks there. Okay, and let's see how well that does. And with a careful applying of just choosing the right length of belts, we should have something that's workable. So let's fast forward this to the first block being made. So you'll see if I just pause for a second, that block is about to come in and just underneath, as this one is about to drop down on top of it. This one is going to come in from the right hand side and get blocked by this pusher block until basically that sensor is triggered, at which point it will release it, and then it'll push it. So it's going to push it back again. So it's got this thing here, which will just take it outwards. So watch as it comes in. So let's do that again. And let's just use the pause key this time rather than restart. So in it comes. So that's those two welded together. Third one, next set's being built behind it, but don't worry about that. Two coming in. That's about to be welded by this block, as well as the second lot on the top. And there it goes. So that's one completed unit. And in that should go to... Oh, well, that's going to stop because we need an extra one there. That won't work otherwise. In fact, we can probably just shorten that, I would have thought, just by basically having it like that. That should work. Fast forward. Full speed ahead. Okay. Don't know how many of it's going to need, but that should complete shortly. Okay, so cycle score is right in the middle, block score a little bit worse than you'd expect, and the same thing with footprint. So there probably is a more optimal solution to that one. Feel free to comment below if you think there is, but I think unless we're going to weld them all at once, we do have to weld them at this point, I think, because first of all they're going to have to be put together, and I can't think of a nice way of doing that. No. This, oh, in fact, hang on. I don't need this anymore, do I? No. Let's get rid of those. And get rid of those as well. I was considering just dropping them down. That's why that would work. But let's see how that compares. Let's just fast forward again. And we don't need those other blocks. We may be able to get rid of some of the blocks on the floor as well, but not too many of them, I would have thought. Like, that block can probably go right there. And then anything where something that's 3 wide or even 2 wide is transitioning across, you can get rid of some of the blocks. So there it's been, now it's a couple of blocks less. So for example, it can never drop down after this point. So technically I think we can get away with doing, we can't do that last one unfortunately, but all the others we can probably get rid of. And that can probably go there. And then this one again. This should be... Well, hopefully this is going to work. That has to stay. These have to stay. Let's see if that works. Whoops. No, I do actually need to get those with 1 block, so we're going to have to put that back, unfortunately. But the ones on the floor, maybe not. Let's see, does that still actually assemble 1? Oh, it stops 1 short, just because that's there. Okay, so... it looks awful. It looks awful, but it may well work. It won't work any better, but it will actually reduce the number of blocks. So, hey, I guess if you want to really optimize, you could do that sort of thing. Maybe? Anyway, let's see what the score is for this one. Cycles and now, so we've decreased our block score quite substantially. We're now fully in the middle, and our footprint score is still quite large, but again, we're right at the average as far as cycle score, so that's good. Continue to sell, and let's get on with the next one, drone maintenance. Oh, there's already a performance review. Okay, I guess we can jump forwards. Hey. We get a chicken. It's definitely a chicken. Eat the chicken. Aww. Do we get another chicken? No? Okay, I get some more food pellets, but clearly not any more chicken. Fine. And there is now a resource site 338.11, and we don't get the new block description here until we do this puzzle. So we can either do production zone 2 or resource site 338.1. And what I want to see, or 11 I should say, I want to see if there's a new block here so I can go back. Maybe I could reuse it in here once we have them. That's interesting. If I go back to this, these early ones, like training, like say sky block, and just create a new solution. Do I get access to all the blocks? I do. Okay, so interesting. So we should be able to go back and solve earlier ones. Let's just go back to the cell with better tools. So let's just go and take a look at this guided Javelin Type 2, and let's see what it actually wants us to do. So here we have anti-gravity block, I think. So that lets us go upwards as well as using gravity to drop things down. And here's our familiar missile again that we had to make. Or at least it looks like a missile that we had to make previously. So instead of going down to make it, we now have to go up in this one to make it. And yeah, so we are going to get the stuff in the right ratio. But that is interesting. If we can send things up, how on earth? Oh, we got a failure because someone else who's been flattened by someone, presumably trying the anti-gravity approach. Yeah.
The bleeding's pretty bad. This is the end of the line. God, if you're there, I just want to say one.
Oh, this guy got crushed. Rough. Well, anyway, if you're hearing this, I'm already gone. Not gone like this guy. I mean, I've escaped. I've left these messages to encourage you. There's hope. There are others out there, and I'm going to find them. It all started one night when I saw a face in the monitor in my cell. It was there for just a fraction of a second before it disappeared into the noise. But I saw it, even though the aliens were jamming the signal. You see that structure on the asteroid over there? Looks kind of like an ancient temple. That's where I built my escape pod. I've got a radio transceiver stashed there too, and I've been saving food pellets. Good luck. Maybe I'll see you after this is all over.
Indeed, maybe they will, but I wouldn't count on it. Anyway, I was just playing around with this to see what the effect each of these things had while we got going. So you'll see, oops, that's in the wrong place, I think. Yeah, I was thinking about actually welding these on the way up. So let's just get that down and let's see if we can actually weld them together. The reason why I'm doing them here is we're going to be pushing them off this somehow. And I was just wondering if can we actually just send them like this way? Okay, and something like that with a sensor block. Sensor block not being the top one, it needs to be definitely not the top one. We want to feed the sensor to be yeah, we need to be careful here because it's passing through these. So let me just show you, for example, if we put the sensor block there, okay, it's going to trigger the push block at the top if we just do something like this. Okay. Yeah, so that's not exactly what we want. We need them to be welded first before we actually do that. So yeah, how are we going to do this? So maybe something workable here. I've got 4 welders in sequence and just a time set a section of belt that delivers the engines at the right time. So let's just bring this forward. So that's 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4, and then it gets pushed out to the next area. And of course that then misses the rest, but we should be okay getting that done this way. And then I'm just wondering if we can just basically design a pusher block for this. So let's just get that something like this. And this is going to be the pusher, I think. Or like that. And that should do, I think. Let's just get a piece of cable and a sensor. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you see that can't actually do that. We can't sense there. It has to be maybe 1 further below. Maybe. Okay, it will get. No, that still can't work. It has to be only when the bottom blocks are in place. And that means we have to get that from further down, which means I'm going to be short of blocks somehow. Yeah, how am I going to get that to occur? And this also has to be welded as well. So can we actually just put a welder up here, or a couple of welders up here, I should say? Yes. I think so. Maybe, unless we can actually get the top block into here directly. Not sure if that's actually doable. Maybe short of space. That can go away. Oh no, it can't. No, it definitely can't. There we go. Okay, so we just need basically a way to weld everything together here at this point. So there and there. That will weld everything. Yep, there it goes. But of course, then everything fails from that point onwards. Because it needs to basically be sent outward somewhere. So I think I may have to bring this outward. And we may have to do it one further outwards. And maybe then I'll have some more room to do this. So let's bring that around. And then I'll lift a block, which is going to get from in the menu for the moment. And let's just re-establish that one further out. Okay, and we'll optimize later. Okay, so that does get welded. But again, I need to basically push this out onto, you know, some kind of other lifter block or something along those sort of lines. You get the idea. We need to just push it this way, and we're going to be sending it sort of in line with that. And lifting it up somehow. That's something we got to determine, but give it a minute. So now I just need a way to push this out of line once it's assembled. This should work, I hope. I really hope. Let's start it off and let's see it being built. So I've got a pusher block here with my sensor at the bottom. Doesn't matter that it's false positive, you know, there, because the second time it comes around, it will actually work. And then here we've got a lifter that's going to go in there and get pushed across, and it's complete. Good. So let's bring up. Is that correct? That still looks correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Let me just up the input rate before we see the score. Can it actually cope with max input rate? No, it can't. Okay, let's deal with regular input rate and let's see what it actually gives me a score of. Let's see how far away from the average we are. So in it goes, and cycles 120, 140. Oh no, 160. Huh? Look! Minimum cycle score possible. No one has got above that, well, below that, I guess. Footprint score, it's pretty good. And block score, again, pretty good. Let's just play again. Can it actually cope with one faster input rate? Nope. Even one faster, it can't deal with it. So that's why no one's got a faster cycle score than that, according to the graphs. So, yep, we have that done. Which means we get to see this. Okay, so lifters are used to lift blocks a short distance with like sensors. They make use of deleted particles but bombard the targets with many orders of magnitude more to do that. So let's just go back here for a second. What happens if I, for argument's sake, remove this block? When it says a short way upwards, how far upwards does actually... I don't even need that block. That's even better. I can lower the block score. Anyway, if that block wasn't there, what actually would happen to that missile? Interesting. So it only raises a certain number of blocks anyway. And does that mean I can get rid of this capstone block? Yeah, look at that. Okay, so we don't need any of that. That's good. Which means I can get rid of a few things. We do need a pusher block still, unfortunately. And that does need to be attached to something, unfortunately. So I can't get rid of those. How about in here? Is there any way I can basically reduce the number of blocks? So if I click this here, I can get rid of those. And is it less blocks? 1, 2. Oh, in fact, it's already connected. Yeah, that's already connected to these. So that isn't needed. That may well be needed. Yeah, you see that goes one up too far. So, well, we could cope with that, but that's not something we want to deal with there. So, yeah. Yep, and it's all still working. So let's fast forward. And that should bring us down in terms of the two other sort of scores. Hopefully. 160, there it goes. 180. Fine. Block score. Why is the block score still the same? I've literally just deleted blocks. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Unless it just didn't count them. And I don't know why. Unless it doesn't count these, but I don't see why it wouldn't. Anyway, now continue to sell. And let's take a look at maybe going back here, back to the previous one, and take a look at drone maintenance. Create new solution? Yeah, let's head off here. Okay, drone maintenance. Oh, that's interesting. What on earth is that? Is that supposed to be a cockpit? An automated cockpit? With a rod attached to the back of it? Very interesting. And what's here? So is this just going to come through? Yeah. So yeah, we are repairing one that is broken essentially. So that's something we need to deal with. We get the rods and we get the front section. What we do not get is the middle part, this right here. So we can't just basically shear off that entire top section. That would be something I would go for anyway. Do we have a failure log? I don't see any failure log, which is no, nothing down there. Oh, wait. No. Guess no one failed this one. Anyway, we can't just shear off the top. We have to deal with that somehow, and which is interesting by itself. And it's constantly moving, and we can't stop it moving. Because it's on these conveyors, you can't demolish the conveyors. Fine. Remember what I said at the start of the episode about doing this when it's constructed? Yeah, I think the developer knows about that. We can't get rid of them that way. That would be a bit of a cheat. But the only thing I can think of getting rid of them by doing is basically creating a timed sort of pusher system for our blocks. So if we just put this here for now, let's just say we have a sensor here. And let's say that triggers a pusher block. And pusher block's going to have to be on here like this. Okay. And we have to be careful because this sensor is going to continue to trigger it. So if you get the idea that maybe I would have a drill on here, maybe you get the idea of what I'm going to go for now. Or at least maybe that could be possible. That needs to be one for the back, doesn't it? Yeah, that needs to be one for the back. Let's get that attached. There we go. And a pusher block. That acts like a piston. At least it should act like a piston, but doesn't just because of how this connected. Maybe now like a piston. Yes, it will. Unfortunately, the problem is that this continues to get triggered because that entire sort of thing there will trigger this whole sort of section. It won't lit up basically. So instead, maybe we're going to have to trigger by this middle section. Okay, so instead, we're going to have to consider putting that over here somewhere. So let's just put it inward. Okay, and we want a sensor block basically looking at that. Like that. Ooh, wait, that's inside the starting volume. We're going to have to move this a little bit further down. 1 second. Okay, with careful placement. Needs to be maybe optimized a little bit. In fact, I can make that look a little bit tidier just by removing these blocks here and then just going straight away with one of these. Okay, so that's all nice. That's gonna have to change as well, just to make things look nice. Okay, so we've got two sensors, and that's going to sense that main column in the middle and the turret of this whole thing, if you like, and then it's going to bring this drill in on the back side to remove the cockpit, and on the front side to basically remove this whole back section. So there we go. Okay, so now we have this thing is completely stripped, and now we just need to basically attach stuff to it. So over here I've got a couple of things going. That's our cockpit module, and do we have to rotate this? It just looks like it's a box, so hopefully we don't need to rotate it. And then we've got this over here, so let's just bring this forwards and we can rotate. Let's just bring it forwards again. Okay, so clearly we should be able to drop this into place, but we then need to be able to essentially weld this together. Maybe not the easiest thing in the world to do. Let me try and lay this out and see if there's any way to weld this as it's actually arriving, which is the sort of hardest point here. We need to get this onto a block or few blocks, if you want to think of it like that way. Let's just stop this again. We need to get this right into the middle, maybe. So like here. And then this needs to basically be onto a block that this runs along inside. The only problem here is that I can't drop it onto anything because there's nothing to drop it onto. It has to be supported by something, which is interesting. This one, on the other hand, with careful timing, we could probably drop it into the right place and maybe even weld it in the right place, but that's going to be a little bit more troublesome. So let's just give this one a go here, and let's see if we drop it just with a straight line. How far off are we? We are miles away. Okay, so let's get rid of that for a second, and let's just, I don't know, cause a delay. Okay, and let's see how far off we are now. So out it comes. And the next one should pop in anytime soon. That's going to miss it entirely. But you get the idea. Oh, no, that's just... yeah, that's clearly not going to work. So we have to do something about that. We have to basically figure out a way of holding this still, or something along those lines, until everything's ready and then letting it go. But when we have this, it needs to be welded. So let's try that. And here we go. Again, with a little bit of crudity, you don't need to worry about too much. This is just a timing thing. It's basically equalizing this with where this track is coming along. We can't speed the track up. I don't think we can speed up the input rate, of course. But what we've got here is a sensor which is watching for this last block. It will also get triggered by the turret, but that's not important. You'll see why in a second. That's going to go down here and release the pusher block. So it's going to let things go forwards as soon as that happens. All right, and then we've got 3 welders right here. So watch what happens as things come in. The pusher block's going to hold everything. These are going to come in and get rotated into the right places. Okay, and stopping right there, you'll see this is about to come along and it will stop in the right place. It doesn't matter anyway. Whoops, let's just bring that in again. Need to stop hitting the fast forward key. Okay, and you'll see that has triggered this pusher block to move, but that's not a problem because this block's going to actually block it anyway. But that will only be the case for a short time. It will then go back out again before everything releases. So if I just go forward slightly, you see there, technically it would go forwards if that released. So this pusher block's going to go back out again, and it's going to keep it there until this block comes into place where it'll get welded, and then the whole thing will get released. Okay. And then I've just got a piece of correction belt right there because this thing going backwards and forwards just pushes it out by 1, and we can get rid of that. So let's fast forward and let's see what our score is. Shouldn't take it much longer. Wow. Okay. Guess we chose what the majority of people did. I suspect there's maybe a better solution than this timing belt here as far as getting these in time. And we can probably just delay it with stop blocks and have it work like that. Again, it's just a matter of timing the exact thing, and that's more than likely what's going along there. You can see the block score. We can get rid of a lot of blocks by doing that kind of thing. And the footprint score, there's not too much to be saved. So maybe I can see if we can just eliminate a lot of this timing belt. And yeah, just with a single stop block, and now this is being controlled by this pusher block. That gets a lot better as far as this is concerned. So if we just fast forward here, you'll see the same thing is happening. It's just now getting stopped by 1, and then that's being released. And before the next one comes in, it's being pushed out. So that shouldn't affect our rate too much, our cycle count. And we can fast forward. Otherwise, it should just basically adjust our block count more than anything else. So it should be nice and straightforward there. And it's around 200 cycles or so, isn't it? So we're going to come up to that. There we go. So best, it's slightly one more cycle. Yeah. But you can see we've reduced our footprint. And indeed, we, let's just see, now is 50. So we've reduced our block score quite large degree. So there's probably more optimizations we can do here. If anyone wants to spot anything, more than welcome to do so. In fact, that may be... Can we delete that block? Yeah, we can, because it's actually connected to this, which is connected to this. So, yeah, we don't necessarily need all of those blocks. And there's not much else I can get rid of, unless I've still got that... Do I still have the drills at that far end? I don't. No, I don't have them waste there. So, yeah, if anyone's got any suggestions, the only thing I can think of is to basically trigger the same drill twice with a secondary, basically a secondary sensor. I wonder if that's doable. Because that's just down and to the right of one. So if we just put a sensor there, and then this one here. Oops, not that. Not you, you. Okay, and will that let us get rid of this one? So let's just delete that sensor, this side. No. That sensor's in the wrong position, clearly. It needs to be one further forwards. There we go. How about now? Yes, so we can get rid of all of you as well. Okay, so that gets rid of our block score even more. So just 2 sensors, 1 drill. And we can just put the support block wherever we really want to here. It's not important what we use for that. And then down here, is there any optimizations to be made? Well, this is again timing, so I guess you could think of a stop block, but it's already short anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. So let's run it forwards. Let's see what our new block score is. And by all means, if you want to beat this, take a look at the scores pretty shortly. Cycle time should be no different, really. There we go. So we brought the block score down again to 43. Even better. Our footprint score and cycle score are right on par with everyone else. So good to know we are getting a decent solution, if not the absolute most optimal one. And then we'll just take a look at this final one. It's going to be next episode before we get to it, but let's take a look at what it actually offers us to do. Ooh, that's a lot. Wow, okay. Okay, we're not building something small this episode. Looks like someone... we'll play that next episode. Let's see what it... Wow, this is like an entire... This is like an entire apartment that we're building. In fact, hang on. Isn't this our cell? This is our cell. There's where our biscuits are. I'm not sure I like this. Anyway, it looks like we do need to build our own cell. Okay, and how are we going to get that to fit with everything else? Okay. Yeah, indeed. We need to go and look at that next episode. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you have, get a like down below. Subscribe, share if you normally would. Click on the bell for notifications for more episodes, and we'll see you next time for some more Infinifactory. As always, guys, help me. I'm in prison, and thanks for watching.